Hello everyone, this is Jenny, DeFi mum, and I've got my husband here with me.
Hello.
And today we are going to talk a bit about the prices of DeFi, because in the last couple of days it's seen a massive rise, and it's actually reached an all-time high today. So at least Bitcoin has, and Ethereum's not quite there yet. Is that right?
Yes. So, should I explain why I put this website up? So, this is a website called CoinGecko. So, there's lots of different websites that will show you the price of cryptocurrencies. And I just happen to use CoinGecko, which is a pretty popular one. And we're just looking here. If you go to CoinGecko.com, this is kind of what you see. So, this is the list of the top 100 cryptocurrencies, and they're actually ranked on the market cap. So the market cap means if you take all the coins that are in this cryptocurrency and times them by the price, this is what the market cap is. So the market cap of Bitcoin at the moment is $627.5 billion, and Ethereum is second at $109.5 billion. So this is kind of, I think this is maybe helpful in our discussion. So I guess it's kind of funny that I guess from the timing wise, people will probably think we started this channel because the price of all these currencies went up, cryptocurrencies went up, which is actually not the case at all. It was kind of slightly random that we decided we were going to do a channel.
So it basically sprung out of my husband having been in this business for a few years now. And I have just not paid a lot of attention really until maybe last year, having started just very slightly started being interested. And so over the Christmas time, I guess you get a bit more time to think, and we decided to look into it together. But it wasn't actually at all the price of these things being up that drove us into it. So we're not here for like a quick profit or anything, which you would certainly have advised us not to do anyway. With your you develop your thinking a little bit there.
Yeah, so, well, it's actually quite interesting. So to begin with, you opened a wallet and I sent you $10 of ETH.
Yeah.
And then you've today, because the price of ETH we can see has gone up like 50% in the last week and 24% in the last 24 hours. I wouldn't say you've definitely not been checking it obsessively, a bit like I have. But you've occasionally you said, oh, it's gone up. I had $10 and now I've got $12 or something.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see how this stuff kind of gets under people's skin.
Yeah.
Which I think is quite a useful process to kind of go through. So it's actually maybe the timing is not so bad that we've done it now. But yeah, I mean, definitely when I first started getting into, I would also I got into blockchain as a kind of technology rather than cryptocurrency as an investment. It was 3 years ago, so I've gone through the hard times, so to speak, when certainly the price of Bitcoin went down to $3,000 and the price of ETH went down to $90. So yeah, I've kind of gone through that, but I do think that when we're kind of thinking about doing this channel, it's definitely not an investment channel. So if you want investment advice, we're not going to give it to you. There's plenty. There are thousands of YouTube channels that will tell you, spin you some tales of how to make a lot of money. This is not going to be one of those channels.
Although I have to say that you do to some extent think that it is investment. I mean, what you said is most those will kind of try to attract you into speculation rather than investment. And we're not trying to put you off investing. We're just saying that the most sensible way into it is to first kind of what would you say? I don't know, get a feel for it.
Yeah.
And start very small and slowly learn your way into it, and
exactly.
And also learn to enjoy the process and understand that you are going to lose some money. So if you do go in for a quick gain, then you are bound to lose, basically.
Well, at the moment you're not, which is the problem, because then people put more and more in. So yeah, so I've always been interested in kind of numbers and money, and I've like bought and sold shares over a number of years. So I kind of feel I'm not a high end investor. I haven't got tons of money in any of this stuff, but I do enjoy, in terms of shares, I do enjoy thinking about the companies and thinking about, do I think this is a good company, and do other people missing the potential? And in some ways, it's an intellectual pursuit that you kind of come to a decision about a share that you think is going to do well, and other people have misunderstood it. So it's a similar sort of thing with blockchain tokens, with cryptocurrencies. So I've always been focused on, not so much on stuff like, I mean, in some ways, with Bitcoin and Ethereum, that if you think blockchain is a valuable technology that is going to make big inroads into the financial system, and also in just how applications work. We've seen famously, companies like Facebook thinking about a digital currency. So I do think there's going to be a big impact of blockchain in general on what we consider the real world. But I'm much more interested, I guess, in looking at individual projects and why they have a token and why they think that token's valuable, and is that project a good project? Is it going to attract kind of users? Is it providing some value that isn't financial value often?
If you take an interest and actually get passionate about these things, you've already won. Even if you lose maybe some financial value, you've won the experience and the enjoyment of going through it.
I definitely think. I mean, it's kind of funny. So like I said before, I transferred $10 of ETH to you.
Yeah.
But when I started out, 3 years ago, the first, I can't remember quite. I think the first I put 50 pounds into, I guess like $75 or whatever. I put that's all I put in, and I just messed around with it, and I kind of bought $10 of that and $10 of that, and most of it went to zero. And then I, next time I put in another $50 and see how that happened. And if something went up, then I kind of thought, oh, that's interesting. So it's not only do I think this is an interesting project, the value's gone up, so maybe I'll look a bit more into that. So I would say certainly for the first year of me looking at blockchain, I wasn't kind of investing in any kind of true sense. And even now, I think people need to think, this is a very boring thing to say. I think people need to think cryptocurrency isn't different to any other kind of investing. So you can obviously buy stocks and shares. You can put money in a bank account. At least that's not going to go to zero. My kind of gut feeling about all this stuff, even though I'm very bullish on blockchain's impact on the world, you should never put any money into a blockchain. You never buy a token in blockchain, or never buy NFTs or anything like that, with the assumption that they're not going to go to zero. I think there's a very low likelihood of the things I buy going to zero, because I spend time looking at them. But they could go to zero, and I have to be happy with the fact that I could lose all that money. So I think definitely at the moment we're in this kind of slightly weird bubble, where if a week ago you put $100 into Ethereum, you now have $200, and that seems like very easy money.
Good. Let's repeat that then.
Yeah.
Don't invest any money that you cannot afford to lose. Who said that? Is it someone who said that you've got that question?
Everyone says that.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
every sensible person says that.
Okay.
And this is really boring stuff. It's kind of like, if you have credit card debt, you should always pay off your credit card debt, because that's money you don't own. That's money you owe to a bank, probably. And the first thing you should ever do with any spare money is to pay your credit card debt off. But equally, I'm quite bullish on blockchain. I think if you have some spare money that you'd otherwise spend on going out, and probably not at the moment with COVID, but if you would spend that on clothes or spend that on whatever thing you spend that, if you take that money and spend a bit of time thinking about what projects you like. I mean, people like Bitcoin. Obviously, it's the biggest one. It's the biggest value. It's gone up a lot. There's lots of other kind of cryptocurrencies. I mean, I'm not going to go through all of them. Some of the, I would say the newer projects are probably a bit more interesting than the older projects.
I was just going to come into that, because that's a very long explanation of why we got into Ethereum. We didn't go into Bitcoin when we did invest those $10 that we started with. But so if you look here then on all of these tokens, for like a beginner like me, who went for Ethereum, would you say that's like what anyone should do, really? That's the most sensible? Why would you not go into Bitcoin, clearly the one that's rising?
Yeah. No, I would. I mean, I'm not. People have very specific views on certain things. I would say for me, it doesn't really matter whether you go into Bitcoin or Ethereum. They are by far and away the two kind of preeminent tokens. Bitcoin, I mean, my problem with Bitcoin is you can't really do anything with it apart from hold it. In some ways, that's an advantage. Like Bitcoin, you can spend it and you can keep it, hodl it, as they say. So in a sense, with Bitcoin, you get into less trouble because you buy Bitcoin and you keep it and you sell it, or you don't sell it. That's kind of very kind of digital from that point of view. Ethereum is a bit more complex because you have lots of things running on the Ethereum blockchain. So the Bitcoin blockchain is basically very hard to run programs on top of Bitcoin, whereas Ethereum is designed for you to run. Anyone can run any code on the Ethereum blockchain. So you have basically Bitcoin, you have the Bitcoin token. Ethereum, you have the ETH token, which is the kind of what we call the native token for the Ethereum blockchain. But then we have literally thousands of tokens that are running on top of the Ethereum blockchain. So let's just have a quick look here, see if I can find any. So at number 10 here is Chainlink. Chainlink, the Link token currently is running on the Ethereum blockchain. Wrapped Bitcoin is a version of Bitcoin running on the Ethereum blockchain. Let's go a bit further down here. So what else can I find? A bit further down. Synthetic network token that runs on the Ethereum blockchain. DAI runs on the Ethereum blockchain. Uniswap runs on the Ethereum blockchain. Compound USDC runs on Ethereum blockchain. CE. So Aave, Filecoin. So Ethereum is interesting. Not so much from a kind of conceptual point of view, although it is interesting from that point of view, but it's interesting because you can start to run things on top of it. So that's why I'm, while I wouldn't say I wouldn't buy Bitcoin, I would say I think Ethereum I find a bit more interesting. And the DeFi stuff that we're investigating in this channel is at the moment all running on the Ethereum blockchain. There are some other blockchains that are starting to look at DeFi, and we'll start to cover those in the channel as well. But at the moment, there's not really any DeFi running on Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is to that degree the safest cryptocurrency to invest in from that point of view, I would think. But Ethereum is the most interesting. Maybe that's the best way of doing it.
Okay, so there you go, guys. Thank you for listening today. And if you got any questions, please just post a comment. And thank you.